Hey everyone, I wanted to show you a quick little demo of how I shoot my work for when I do my prints. So as you can see here, I have my painting aligned to the sun. Usually I keep the sun kind of indirectly lit at an angle like this. And then every piece, even a small one like this, I'm going to be shooting probably about 4 different images. So I'm going to be zooming in to about 50 millimeters here. You know, I've made sure to adjust all my settings in the camera here. I typically have it about, you don't want it any less than about 250 for the shutter speed, f-stop of about 8, and then ISO you want to be as low as possible. So in the sun, you don't really need any more than about 100. So let me show you what I do next. So I have Photoshop open here, and I'm going to select the automate and then photo merge. I even have a little hotkey for that, but I'm going to find the images. Open them up here, and I typically don't do any of these settings here. There's a little bit in post I might need to do, but we're going to let that work. So you see it's compiling right now. It usually takes a couple minutes for this to do everything. Alright, once the image is all seamed together here, it looks flawless. I'm going to merge these layers here, put them all together because they're all separate. And then, as you can see, it's a little bit out of square here, and so we're going to use the perspective crop tool, and we're going to get that crop down. So you just want to select the corners, just like so, and we'll let that crop. There, now it's back in proportion, and then want to make sure it's the right size, because oftentimes it can skew or make the size off. And so I know this is 14 by 11. Now I don't want to reduce this, so right now if I keep it at 300, it's going to reduce it down from 350 megabytes, and so I always like to bump this up so I don't have any image loss, and this is how I'm able to make much larger prints from the original painting if I need to. So I'm going to keep it about 650, so it's like you can see it's enlarging it just a little bit. I'll let that resize. Now, one of the last things I do, or next to the last things I do, is if necessary, I use the camera raw filter and the effects here, and you might need to adjust the exposure a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit too light or too dark. And typically, if you do the settings that I suggested in the direct sunlight, depending, it's going to be pretty accurate. I don't usually need to adjust a whole lot. I might bring the texture up a little bit. Maybe just a tiny bit of vibrancy. Otherwise, it looks pretty good to me. And then the last final step before saving, what I do is I'm going to zoom in here just to kind of look real close at it, and I'm going to go in and touch up any marks. So, for example, here's a little fuzzy mark that looks kind of like it might be a bug, and so I'm just going to touch up, sometimes there's dust or hair, and so I like to just go through this and make sure we're not going to be printing any hairs or dust spots. And you want to be pretty thorough with this, but it is an original painting, and sometimes these are plein air, so there might be a little bit of dirt and whatever, and I don't go too crazy on it. It's going to be more obvious though when enlarging, and so you want to be a little bit more careful when you're going to be enlarging a piece. You want to make sure you have all little bits and dust and hairs out of it. But that's it. I just save it. You want to make sure you have a nice file format, so I always have the title of the piece and the size, and then I'll always save it as a full quality printable image and then a web quality image, and I always make sure you want to notate that. Make sure you don't save over your web image. The web images I typically keep around 1200 pixels wide, and so that's going to be suitable for emails and social media and all that stuff. But that's it. That's my process for shooting work. Good luck. So once you have your nice image, I'm going to show you an example of how well they come out here. So as you can see, this is an example of one of the prints on canvas. You can even see it has, I actually go back and I add texture to it. And then if you were to compare it, you know, you have the original and the print there. They're pretty good. The lighting is here and it's not perfect, but you can see really accurate. I've always been super happy with this process. I've used it for years and years, and now I'm sharing with you. So I hope you use it and check it out, and now you can shoot your own work.